Welcome to My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
And we are so excited. We have a very special guest today. We have Sydnee Page from Sydnee in the Sheets. I am so happy to have you join us today. We always have said we have like our perspective is like Gen X and the millennial, and you're like, you know, that Gen Z perspective. So we're super stoked to have her. Sydnee, welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk with all of you. It's so fun. I love getting to like meet other people, and especially people that have like really good and fun dating stories, which you guys all do.
We have plenty of those. No shortage of bad dates. That's our motto over here.
What I love about your podcast, what I really appreciate is, and I was telling Cassie this earlier, is that you're coming at it from not a like how to please your man kind of thing, that you're very like sex positive, like for women. And it's really empowering. I think it's really, really cool, the message that you're putting out there.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much. That's so sweet. And that's definitely my goal. So I'm really glad that you picked up on that. I just never have understood why like women would make podcasts and they'd be like, yeah, like this is a sex podcast for women. And then it was like 45 episodes just about like 45-minute episodes about what guys like, and you're kind of like, well, how do I figure out what I like?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like the cover of a Cosmopolitan magazine where it's just like 5 ways to give a blowjob, whatever, you know, like it's not exactly what you're looking for as a woman. And I think especially now, where there's an overabundance of men with microphones giving their opinions about women and sex, it's really important that we have our own perspective on that.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, Sydnee, how did you get started? Like what brought you into the podcast space? What made you get like involved in a podcast?
So it was very random. There was like a stupid little TikTok trend. I honestly don't remember what it was. It was like a little viral sound. And I made a joke that I had like a really good, I know we were just talking about women's pleasure, but I had like a really good like blowjob tip.
Nice.
Perfect. And so I was like, I made the TikTok and I go to dinner with my grandparents and I like get home and I like never check my phone. I'm not like I'm not really attached to my phone. And so I check it after and it's literally at like 2 million views.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I was like, what just happened? And then everyone was like, what is it? Like, what's the tip? So then I am like in this kind of moment where I'm like, well, what do I do? And everyone was like, well, record what the tip is. So I sit down and I'm like whispering because I'm like at my family's house and I have a Gap sweatshirt on, like giving the most graphic, like I'm talking about like glands on a dick.
Oh, wow.
I'm getting so into it. And it's so funny because I was like, I don't want to be too graphic. And then I'm like making like hand motion. And that video proceeds to get like a few million views. And everyone was like, you should really start a podcast. Like you feel like a big sister. And I was like, oh, this is fun. So I didn't even own a microphone. I didn't even have like anything. I was like, you know what? Whatever. So I write 3 episodes and I put them out. And then like 10 days later, it became my job. It was the most
wild
overnight thing. It was truly like an internet moment where you just started totally astounded, but it was kind of my start. And now after getting to talk about men's tips, I finally get
literally
like dedicate way more time to talking about women, which is great. And I actually do have a lot of male listeners, which is interesting. Like I'm kind of surprised by it.
Yeah. We were actually always surprised at first too, when we were like, gosh, how many men are actually listening to 3 women talk about bad dates? But it's shocking. Yeah. I think that, you know, initially everybody's like, oh, this is a podcast for women, but I think it's so much more than that. And I think that, you know, men want to know just as much as women do about all of these things. So
right. Yeah. I mean, dating is pretty universal. It's an experience that almost every human has eventually in their life. So everybody has a bad date story. And I think also what we've seen a lot on our podcast is it's opened things up rather than looking at things through this very like heteronormative sphere. It's not just like men and women and men and women's pleasure in that way. There's also like, you know,
There's a whole sphere, and
Yeah,
I think
it's a whole
it's really
spectrum.
cool when guys check out like what the woman's point of view is. I think that's a good thing. So
Yeah.
kudos to our male listeners out there. Thanks.
We see you.
Yeah. Well, Sydney, as we always do here, we have a would you rather. Christina is our queen of the would you rather. So
Yeah, I think I've got one for you because I've listened to a few episodes. So would you rather? Now you're how old? Like
I'm 20.
okay, all right. So this one might be an easy one for you, but I'm going to try. Would you rather date around casually and have absolutely incredible sex, or find the love of your life, like amazing person? You're so happy, you're so
Great
in
connection.
love, great connection, but the sex is like, it's mediocre.
I I don't know what answer you might be expecting. I would so much rather find the love of my life. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. I'm such a romantic at my core. It's a little devastating to my mental health sometimes.
I can relate. Definitely can relate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we all agree with that. The three of us are in long-term committed relationships. And I can easily say that is so much more important. Sex is an important part of any relationship, but it is only a part. And it is so much more important to have a partner who is, loving and cares about you and is an actual partner that will like share household duties and go through life with you. Like all of that is so much more important.
Now that's not to say that I don't reminisce about my hoe days.
I mean,
Like
fully.
it was a fun phase. Sometimes,
You got to have a good hoe phase.
yeah.
You know what? Just
never
so that
had
you
a
can
hoe
have something
phase.
to put in the spank bank.
Oh, absolutely. A good solid 2 years. Well, I didn't have just one hoe phase. It was like a nice little roller coaster.
okay, here's a question for you then, Christina, because you had a hoe phase like in your 20s, and then you had another hoe phase, a hoe renaissance, a hoeissance in your 30s.
Yes.
What was better?
Oh, 30s for sure.
Yeah?
30s for sure. I'm actually really jealous. Like I said, I've listened to your podcast and how open you are about sex and stuff. I wish that I had that in my baby hoe phase. And I did not. It was all about like the men's pleasure. I had a lot of like not great sex in my 20s.
You had a lot of
regrettable.
hand on the head moments, right?
Oh,
the,
yeah.
like the low,
The push.
slow push.
Yeah. I definitely had way better sex in my 30s.
Good.
For sure. But I think it's just the times too. I think, when I was in my 20s, it was like Woodstock 99 culture. It was Limp Bizkit and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gen Z's going to save us all. Thanks, Sydney.
that's what we're hoping for.
Oh gosh, truly.
Well, yeah, you also talked on your podcast too about, you were telling a story about having a purity or a promise ring. That was the latest episode, right?
I too come from toxic purity culture, so I could definitely relate on that. I like to tell people that I lost my purity ring in Paris because I was traveling and they made me take off all my jewelry, and I was in a hurry and I left it on the through security.
That's the name of your book. I lost my purity ring in Paris.
Yeah, I mean, I was truly devastated about it. My little evangelical heart was like, oh no, God's gonna love me less because I lost my purity ring. But yeah, I'd love to hear more about your experiences with that.
Oh, so it was really just a bizarre circumstance. Every time I tell people this, they're like, how did this happen? So neither of my parents are religious. I just suddenly became really interested in religion when I was like 13.
That
And
tracks.
That's my son.
snowballed into turning into like me being super I would say I probably identified as Catholic now. The funny part about all of it is because my parents weren't religious, I'm not baptized, I haven't had a communion or like a confirmation. I just jumped in the deep end. And one day I started having like these moments of kind of like what was I doing? Like, why was I so stressed about not having sex until marriage when I met this really hot guy?
Well, yeah, there you go.
I had a moment where I was like, this guy looks like a 90s Abercrombie model. Like, what are you doing? Like, I actually think I could like it was like the meaning of like washboard abs. Like you could really do laundry off of him. He was so stupid.
Purity
So
be damned.
I love that for you. I wish that I had been able to do that for myself. I truly do. I missed out. I never had a hoe phase. I'm jealous. Everybody else has had a hoe phase, and I didn't, because by the time I finally was like, I'm ready to give it up. You know what I mean? I was almost 20. I was like 19. I was almost 20, and then I went from like one monogamous relationship to the next. So it was.
So I completely can relate to that, because I have only been like I lost my virginity when I was like 18. So it hasn't, I mean, I'm 21 in like a month, so it's been like about like 3 years of having this sexual activity. And I mean, it's also heightened because I left college very early. I left after a semester, and then I was like kind of like, oh, we're doing real world stuff now.
Hey, cheers.
But,
Yeah, same.
I went into this I've been seeing this guy for like 7 months now, and I don't see anyone else, even though I really could, because we're not exclusive. It's like the weird New York thing.
I think it's an LA thing too. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's just a weird cities.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean,
Too many options.
it's true. Like, especially there's so many things to consider. You know, we talked on our last Double Dates episode about, and we've talked about it a lot living in LA, like geography plays a big part in it. It's just like, if you gotta travel, you gotta get off like several subway stops later to date somebody. It's like, no, you get comfy and cozy with one person. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like nice. Like we just like live around the corner from one another. It just is like easy. You don't need like a lot of notice. I think a huge like dating positive for me is early on, like the first month or two that you're seeing someone, is them making plans in advance, because it shows that they like value your time to like put you on the schedule and make actual plans. But I love the part of like relationships where you can call each other with like 10 minutes notice and be like, do you want to go get a random dessert now at 9 o'clock at night?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do that. Like,
I love that.
I love that transition.
Oh yeah. No, that's part of the magic. I think that's the reason why you want to be in a relationship, is just to have like a buddy when you want to, you know, do something random at like 10 o'clock on a Wednesday, you know, a ride or die.
Yeah. I remember you saying, Christina, after, you know, you were coming to the tail end of your hoe phase, like right before you met Eric. And I remember you saying like, gosh, like this is fun. Like, you know, some of it is really fun, but I just miss like socializing on the couch, just like sitting next to somebody while we have a TV show playing and we're both on our phones, that like comfortable, like we're in a relationship and we're comfortable enough with each other that it doesn't need to be like performative, or it's just comfortable. Yeah.
So dating wise, are you on the apps, or what's your app of choice?
I've been off of the apps for about 6 months. I'm gonna like just want to roll over thinking about this. I fell in love very, very quickly. This was a big surprise.
Yeah.
What is your sign, Sydney? I'm sorry, I need to know.
I'm a Libra.
You're a Libra. Yeah. Okay.
My opposite.
Yeah, that tracks completely. That makes sense to me.
I know my whole chart too.
Oh
so
my God,
like,
I love it.
We could have a whole podcast, honestly, just talking that.
So I fell in love really fast. But before that, I would say Hinge was my favorite app. I think like Raya was more for shits and gigs. Like it was just a really funny little app. Like I've never seen a guy in there and been like, yeah, this seems like my partner in crime.
This seems
like,
real. Yeah. Yeah.
They all just seem like they own nightclubs, and not in like a fun way. More
Yeah. I can't imagine Raya in New York. Like Raya in LA, I have enough friends that have been on it that I'm like, it's douchey enough, but I can't imagine Raya in New York.
Something about it feels dangerous.
In New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like an LA douche and a New York douche is very different vibes. Yeah, like different vibes for sure. And there is something very like Wall Street about Raya in New York. It feels like. Tell me if I'm wrong, Sydney.
God.
No, there definitely is. I would say you get like 3 types of guys on Raya. You get like the actual celebrities. You get like SNL hosts and actors and like musicians every once in a while. Then you get like the entrepreneurs.
Oh, I bet you heard so much about Bitcoin. I bet you know so much about crypto just from dating on Raya in New York.
You just get like heavy air quotes like around entrepreneur. And then you get guys that are just like I don't I'm like speechless. It's like a third category. It's almost like you can't articulate what it is. You just know it's there. And there are these guys where they're like finance bros, but they're not finance bros, but they reek of the same annoying energy.
Yeah, it's playing with daddy's money, bros. Like that's what it is. It's finance. I work in finance, but it's like finance is just like my dad gave me a small loan of $3 million.
Yeah. My God, I would just want to know like the insider trading. That's all I would try to do. Just be like
bunch of Peter Pans.
Give me a stock tip, something.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, so we got to know. It is, my worst date. We have to know what your worst date has been.
Okay. I have been lucky for the most part. I've had really good dating experiences. I think it comes from the fact that I'm not dating fellow 20-year-olds, which can work for or against you. But I would say my worst date ever, I had been seeing this guy for a little bit. Like it wasn't a worst first date. It was like a worst like 8th date. And I almost came, you could tell me if this is Libra or not.
Okay.
I like being the person that likes the other one more, even if it's just a smidgen. I think like relationships tend to be more successful if we're just talking about like men and women together. If the man likes the woman a little bit more, a lot of the times that's how the relationship happens. But like once you're in it, I just like liking them a little bit more, because when they like me a little bit more, it freaks me out.
Yeah.
And so this guy liked me a lot more than I liked him.
Oh, I can relate to this so much.
I was just like, I could like feel it the whole day. It like was like this like heavy, like humid type feeling where I was just like, oh God. We were spending the day together and he was like coming to look at apartments with me. And we got brunch and I had a little too much to drink at bottomless brunch. So I'm sick over the fact that this guy likes me. I'm sick over like the 10 mimosas I had.
Oh no.
The overthinking feels very Libra to me. Yes. Like I feel like though I understand that because it's pressure, right? If somebody likes you that much, there's like so much, especially if you have any people pleasing tendencies whatsoever. Like if somebody likes you a lot, you like, it feels like, oh no, like I need to like them as much or I need to get out. Like, cause I it's scary.
Exactly. And so the one thing is, and this guy was a very, very good looking guy. He checked like all the boxes. Like if you were setting him up like as a matchmaker, he'd be like a great candidate. He'd be like, he was lovely. But for some reason, when I start to like lose feelings with a guy, I become so unattracted to them that I just don't want to like look at them. I want to kind of forget that they're there. It's not even a physical thing. Like he's great, like very attractive, but I'm just like, ooh, every time I'm like thinking about him. So we're sitting, we have this lovely day planned, and I just keep like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm like sitting on the subway and I'm like just kissing him so we don't have to talk.
You know what? I think I've done that.
You're like, shh, shh, shh.
Like I'm
You're
just like,
so
I
pretty.
still want to talk. And we have reservations for like this super nice restaurant, and we were just going back to his apartment to like change and whatever. And I just, oh God, this is so bad. And so I'm like, I just am like, this can't keep going on. I was like, I can't do this, because I like, if we'd see each other again, like he thinks that we're gonna get married. Like I can't do it. So we get back to his apartment, and I do the worst. I am the worst date here.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm the worst date. I start to cry because I'm like, oh God, I don't, how do you tell someone that you don't like them, but they're like wonderful?
Are you sure you're not a Pisces? This is feeling very, this is exactly how I would handle this situation. I'm just like, it's not you. You're great. I can't. I'm feeling so much pressure.
So I start sobbing, and we're just sitting in his bed, and I'm like, and he's like, he's also kind of one of those guys. This is the one thing where it was like, he just definitely like missed. But when guys like to think that they understand women better than women understand women.
I hate it. That's the worst. No.
Where he was like, you're just like scared of like this or that. And I'm thinking I don't know.
audacity.
All right, the way my tears would dry up immediately, and I'd be like, "Actually, I'm good. I'm out. I don't feel bad anymore about leaving you here. That's just stop
So
it."
I'm like, and he still thinks we're going to our reservations and whatever. And I'm just sitting there and I'm kind of like, well, I can't tell him like, oh, I'm not scared. I just really don't want to look at you. Like, I can't do that because that's so bad. And I know that. So like, to me, like our relationship, I think was also like probably just like a pretty sexual relationship. Like every time we actually had to have a conversation, we kind of just like not agree, but the sex was fine. So we get to the point where he's like trying to like console my crying, and I just like keep it going because I don't want to have a serious conversation, because if I'm crying, then he won't let me talk.
Yep.
And so out of nowhere, he's in his mind, he's like, oh, I kind of want to cheer this girl up. So how graphic can I be?
Oh, you can be
graphic
for it,
as
girl.
you want.
So he goes down on me, and I just
Crying, just the image of you crying when
He's like, I can fix this.
Don't worry about it. I got it. It's fine.
I mean, solid plan, actually. Not the
He
worst.
goes down on me for like 30 minutes.
That's too
Jesus
long.
Christ.
And so I just shoot back up, and I'm like, I've got to go now.
I have to ask though. I do have to ask. Like, did you like get off though in that 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
fine then.
Well, then good.
That's so
That's all
funny
that
though,
matters.
because it's just like you just come and then you're like, okay, bye.
Goodbye.
I just gotta go. I was like, I need to leave. And so I get up, and by the way, we're like not in Manhattan. We're like out in one of the boroughs. So like it's not like the subway like is like close and I know the area. So he proceeds to have to walk me for like 10 minutes to the train. And it's also like 10 o'clock at night at this point. And I made us miss like our really nice reservations, all of this. And I'm just standing there on the train. And like to this day, him and I are friends now.
Oh, gosh.
But he has no idea that this entire like breakdown that I had was like a little fake, so we didn't have to have like a bigger conversation.
Oh, wow.
And
You're like, I want to avoid this like the plague.
oh, literally. And I feel so bad about this to this day, but we were standing on the train track and I was just like crying, and I get on the train and I'm like, oh, I feel so much better now that this is over.
Oh
over with.
no, you shouldn't feel bad. There's like that's how you know you made the right decision. There's like
That's
a
right.
huge relief there, like when it's done. Although I am like, why couldn't he just give you cab money? At that point, I'm like, don't walk with me to the subway.
It's so awkward.
Weird. It's so awkward. We're gonna have to do that weird like hug.
Yeah,
you know,
the side hug.
the pat on the back. You know, oh
Thanks.
no.
The only thing I can think of, I kind of had something similar when I was younger. I used to be really, I didn't like it when people were too nice to me. I did not like that at all. I took it as a sign of weakness. And so like if a guy started liking me and being nice to me, I fucking hated him. I couldn't stand him anymore.
Mine was I hated that too. I don't look, and I always equated it to like being romantic. I fucking hate when guys are romantic with me, because I'm in my mind, I'm like, what do you want from me? Like, to me, everything has, you know, listen, we all got issues, but like it felt very transactional. Like for somebody to be too nice to me, it was like, okay, what do I owe you now? Like, I don't want to feel like I owe you something.
Christina, you don't still feel that way, right? Like Eric is very nice to you.
He's so nice.
Because you ended up
she hates him
marrying
now.
somebody who was kind of mean to you.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
of that, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
When
No,
it's
I
too hard,
had
the
to do
opposite.
like a lot of therapy to get like to the issue of like why I thought that way and everything. And yeah, so, but yeah, I specifically remember I have a shame receipt in my head of a dude named Keith who was like so nice, and he like wrote out a playlist. We made a mix CD, and I was just like,
Keith
Ew.
is me. Oh my God. The amount of like playlists I've made for men. So many back in the day, back when I was in high school, it was CDs. Like I remember this guy that I was kind of sort of seeing was going to college, and like we were a nothing. Like it was absolutely nothing. But in my like little romantic mind, I was just like, we could be something, right? And
when he goes off to college, he'll listen
remember
to
me.
this
Well, no,
CD
I
that I
made
made
him.
him.
It was so thoughtful. I made him a CD. It was a road trip CD. I called. I think I've told this story before. I called all of his friends and family.
Oh, no.
And got their favorite song, and I put them all on the CD.
You're so nice. I would have broken up with you.
And then I I know, truly.
Same.
And then I gave it to him with like the name, like the whole playlist with like the name of the song and who added it.
That's
to the song.
adorable.
Oh my God.
It's embarrassing.
40-something-year-old me is like, would love that from you. 20-year-old me would be like, go jump off a bridge. That is the most, I'm going to jump off a bridge. That's the most disgusting
That
thing
man,
I've ever heard.
or that boy, because he was not a man at the time, but Kyle, yeah,
Oh,
of
that
course it was
tracks.
Kyle, yeah. He was probably like, "Oh Jesus Christ, oh no,
What are we getting married now? Jesus.
No.
oh."
Oh, that's so wonderful. I love that so much. That's like something I think back sometimes on these guys that I would like cry over, and I was like, I used to like kind of like do like little at-home vlogs for myself, and I was seeing this guy. I'm not going to use his name because this is too recent,
Uh-oh.
but I was seeing this guy, and he like the entire time he did not like me, and I was so delusional that I was like, what? I like go back and watch these videos, and I'm like watching myself like explain this, and I'm like, babe, wake up. Like
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
so funny.
God.
I'd be like, you know, it's totally normal that it's been like 4 days since he texted me since I saw him, like
Yeah.
after, and I was like, this is like, I'm like, I don't know why I'm freaking out. I was like, this is like so normal. Like I just need to like resolve my issues. And now I'm like, I want to slap you in the face.
Oh,
Like,
Sydney,
oh,
I wish
yeah.
you weren't like across the country. I want to hug you so much right now. Like the reality of that we've all been there.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh.
The number of medium ugly guys I've cried over
Oh,
is
it's
like
so
truly
sad.
upsetting. Yeah, really, really. I mean, but I had a real tendency to talk to myself that same way, where it was just like, oh, this behavior is totally normal, and I just need to try harder. You know, I just need to. It's something I'm doing. Definitely, it's something I'm doing.
Yeah, I married my mistakes, so you're doing much better. So as long as you don't make it legal, that's
yeah. Good for you for vlogging it all so that you can go back and process it.
I didn't even like realize it was just kind of like a little like private story I had with my friends, and it's so funny because I look back now, and actually like this guy and I, we ended up having the weirdest ending like to like anything. It would just like, it was like ghosting, but it was weird ghosting because we were seeing each other for like 9 months.
oh wow.
So like it was really weird, and I just thought it was like just bizarre behavior because it is, and also he was 29. So I was like, this is really weird behavior for such a grown man. And then I get a phone call like 3 weeks ago. I told the story on my show, but I get a phone call at 3:00 in the morning, and it's from an unknown number, and it wasn't unknown, but I just didn't know it. So I decline it, and it's 3 a.m. on a Thursday.
Whoa.
I get another phone call. I decline it, and it was the same number. And then I get another one, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's a New York City phone number. I'm not at my apartment. What if someone broke into my apartment and it's my landlord? Like, who else would be calling at 3 a.m.?
Right.
Right. Yeah, you think
As I'm
emergency. Yeah.
So I'm like, answer the phone, and I'm like, hello? And he's like, oh, like, guess who? And I'm like,
No.
Okay. Immediately no. Immediately no.
I got thoughts. First of all, multiple fucking calls like that at 3 a.m. on a Thursday.
Honestly,
and how
fuck
long
you.
had it been since he talked to you?
of 5 months.
The fucking audacity on
no,
this guy.
He's gonna zombie
To
at
triple-
3 a.m. on a
to triple
Thursday.
call, not even a text. Because
No.
I've gotten the zombie text. I got one from a guy, like I just told this on the podcast.
4 years ago.
I hadn't been on a date with him, talked to him in 4.5 years, and he just texted. But that's appropriate. If you're going to zombie and you haven't talked to somebody in forever, you text.
You test
That
the waters
is
with a text message.
psychopath behavior to
so-
call
so-
like your auto warranty expired.
It literally gets so much better. So I answer the phone and I'm like, hello? And he's like, guess who? And I'm like, I have literally no idea. I don't even recognize his voice. I start naming like different guys.
Yeah.
Good.
And I didn't even guess him. And you could actually tell in my tone that I wasn't like doing it to like mess with him. I was being genuine. And he goes, wait, do you really not like know who this is?
Wow.
No, honey,
And
I don't.
I said, it's 3 a.m. on a Thursday. I just woke up. Like, who is this? And he tells me, and he was like, yeah, he's like, you blocked my number, so I called you from like this like other phone. And I was like, and he was like, I really miss you. And I was like, I said, I hate to be the one to have to say this. I was like, you did not even like me when we were together.
Yeah,
I was
There
like,
you go.
you did not like me. I was like, and that's okay. But I was like, let's cut the bullshit. And he's like, no. He's like, you didn't know what I was going on. And I was like, you literally just hang out with 19-year-olds that go to Parsons. Like, that's what you had going on. Like, it was like that's like all that you did.
I just fell in love with you.
I love you guys.
I don't know if I can confess this, but
You can.
you're like currently one of my favorite human beings.
No,
like,
truly,
queen.
The audacity. If I've blocked your number, never contact me again.
Never.
It's also the phone call.
You are
I just
stuck
really,
on it.
I really
You
am
cannot let it
stuck.
go.
I'm like, don't call me ever.
Never.
Like,
Yeah, first of all, if it's not
first of all,
honestly, if we
everyone.
ever call each other, if I look at my phone, literally, I remember Cassie called me once and I looked down at my phone and it was like Cassie Young Paxton. And I was in the middle of my workday. I stopped what I was doing and I picked up because I was like, this has
Never.
to be
it
an
has
emergency.
to be an emergency.
Because
phone calls are for emergencies
you would be
only.
texting me otherwise. So, and it was an emergency.
Yeah.
Your cat was sick and you needed somebody to drive you to the emergency vet.
Fucking emergency.
Because I'm like, don't
call me ever.
we have to have a real understanding. There should be a text previous that's
Yes.
like, can
Are
I
you
call you?
free?
Exactly.
And there usually is.
This boy has no decency. I don't like him.
He's
He
not even a
doesn't-
boy.
I
He's
hate
29.
That's a boy.
Stop
And so
it.
the really funny part of so he kind of, and on all honesty, he kind of did ghost me towards like the end of our those 9 months. And then I didn't see him for a few months and I was out hanging out with one of my friends, Sam, and her and I were just at City Winery. Like, it was a really lovely evening. And I look over and he always would wear this stupid fucking hat. The dumbest hat ever. It was this bright red hat.
Oh, no.
Red flag.
And he never took it off. I literally, he got to the point where we also had never slept together, which was really weird to me. But there was a lot of like really big red flags here.
Yeah. The red hat
that he's
is
wearing on
number
his
one.
head. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I look over and I see this suspicious red hat at City Winery and I think to myself, and I like move my head a little bit and I see him standing there with two girls and one of his friends and I go, Sam, I gotta go up to him. I gotta. And so I'm like, cut the shit. This is previous to the phone call. I don't pretend to like go up to the bar. I literally just walk right up to him.
Yeah.
There you go.
They're shitless. I like look at his face and he immediately in front of like the two girls grabs goes to like wrap his arm around me and like kiss my cheek. And I was like, no, like that. And I was sitting there and I was like, hi. And all of his friends are like these girls, they were obviously like, he was trying to like, had like something going on.
Right.
He like introduces me and he was like, his birthday was the day before and I remembered but I didn't say anything and he was like, oh, like why didn't you text me for my birthday? And in front of everyone I kind of like look around and I go, so you could ignore that along with the other 30 texts?
Honey.
And so-
Chef's kiss.
So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, so you could do that? And I was like, I just didn't feel like it. And he was like, well, actually, I was going to text you today. I was like,
Okay. No, you were not.
No.
You were
no,
not.
you weren't. And I was like, that's okay. I was like, I have to go. I have my plans. I was like, I'm going to go now. And so I go and I leave and I like turn around and I can see his face like after. And you know when you can tell, okay, not that like we ever want to admit this, but sometimes it's much more prevalent when you're younger. But you see like when a guy's like, oh, that girl's so stupid. And like if you're a girl into him, you're kind of like, yeah, like she's stupid. And it was kind of like one of those moments where I could tell he said something after I left and the girls were like, over it. I was like, guys, he's horrible. Like just save yourself the time.
What's his name? I want to call his mother. We're gonna have a
Triple call you
conversation.
at 3 a.m. on a Thursday.
Let's call his mom at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Ma'am, do you know what your son's out
Do you know
here
what
fucking
he's
around?
up to? He ghosted somebody and then tried to kiss their cheek in public.
How dare you?
Straight to jail.
Ghosting. It's universal, man.
Yeah.
I can't believe though, after that long of hanging out and talking though,
9 months.
that's
you could
nuts to
a
me.
whole human gets created in that amount of time.
Yeah.
I'll give you the weirder part though.
It gets worse.
Oh, it gets worse. So he actually was on my podcast in the first 7 episodes. I think it's the 7th one.
The way
Oh.
I am about to go back
I'm
and
like,
put a pin in that for now because I'm gonna go find that one.
in the moment I was so like he was like a part of like my like this and that, like it wasn't he kind of, it was so weird, like we never really like integrated into each other's lives the way that you should when you're dating someone.
Yeah.
But he did involve himself with that, which I found weird, and I just like kind of like let it go. But I just was so taken aback by like how oddly things ended, because when I say even right now, we live 1,000 feet from one another.
Oh no.
Like if I cross just one avenue that I back up to, it's his apartment.
Oh, wow.
I just got like goosebumps. No, because like the fear of like running into that guy. Ugh.
Oh, I run into probably like 4 people a day, but I love running into exes and people. It's so funny because I always run into this one ex every time I get my hair done. I don't know what it is. Every single day that I get my hair done, even if it's once every 4 months, I'll run into him and I'm like, the universe loves me. Like,
Oh no.
Because you just like you're like your
I
hair's
look
all
the
done
best.
and you're like I look amazing.
Why has that never happened to me once in my whole life? Anytime I run into somebody I know, like every time I'm home, every time I will run into someone I went to high school with, or like somebody I saw casually or whatever, and I look like trash every time, to the point where now when I'm home, I don't leave the house unless I've like done all the things. Like I'm like I don't care if I'm just going to the grocery store. It's like full face.
That legit triggered a strong memory for me. I used to date this guy, like by date, I mean, I used to fuck this guy, and he would always like fucking gaslight the shit out of me. Like, oh, you're so ugly. Like he used to say shit like that.
Oh
It's,
my
like,
God.
like really like awful. And I would,
Yeah, it's because you don't like guys who are nice to you. So you kept fucking him.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's hot. Let's fuck. I'm ugly. Yeah. No. But it was like, it would literally be. It was like you said, like the universe loved me. Anytime we were out together, the number of guys who would come up in front of him and be like, Jesus Christ, you're hot. Or like, you're so, I'm like, nowhere would happen elsewhere. But I'm like, the universe just was absolutely
Giving
loving
you a
me,
gift.
giving me a gift.
What am
in
I
front of
doing
this
wrong?
guy.
Dude,
What happened to my karma?
You're just too
have
hot.
the worst karma. I've never run into an ex out in public, but I told you guys, I think I talked about it on the podcast, going to Whole Foods with Eric when I looked beat to shit and running into his last ex.
Oh, that's so much worse.
Yeah.
And I was
That's
like,
so much
I
worse.
want to throw myself.
Because at least
into
your
traffic.
ex knows what you're capable of.
Right,
Like
that's
I'm like,
right.
my ex knows that like sometimes I look like a couch goblin, but sometimes I look fucking hot. Okay. So like they know that.
We're in a room with 2 guys who just rolled their eyes, I think. I think they both just were like, couch goblin, I bet.
Wow. Okay. But like your current partner's ex-girlfriend,
yeah.
They don't
One
know
and
you're what
only
you're
time.
capable of.
don't know. They don't know your powers.
No, nothing. I think I wasn't wearing a bra, so titties all akimbo, and like I got a lazy eye, and felt like it was acting up that day. It was a fucking nightmare, dude. A nightmare.
No.
I literally,
I'm about to spit my
still
fucking wine out.
have anger and hate in my heart. I'm like, I couldn't get my shit together for one fucking day to go to the grocery store.
so sorry.
Ugh, my God. Jen, if you're out there, I actually can like
watch this video because you look so hot right now.
Thank you. It was COVID. Stuff happened. People were walking their dogs in fucking bathrobes.
You're like literally like, Eric, actually just please 4 or 5 steps ahead of me. Stay away. I don't want her to think I'm with you. I can't ruin your reputation.
I felt like I just felt bad. It was terrible. Oh my God.
Okay,
Sorry.
so sorry, Sydney.
No, but that was
rails.
amazing. I'm so glad I got to be here for that. That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Titties Akimbo is now the new name of our episode.
It's a new podcast I'm launching.
Titties Akimbo.
Jesus. So Sydney, trying to get us back on track here. Do you have any like deal breakers or like red flags, like immediate red flags that you meet somebody and you're like, absolutely
Besides
no.
red hats.
Yeah.
Dread hats. Yeah, I'll try to nail them off for you. So the first one is kind of stupid. I don't know why that this is gonna get me. It's not a judgment at all. It's like a personal thing. I can't date guys that play video games.
Oh, okay.
Listen,
Red
we've
flags.
all had experiences at this table.
I just,
Yeah.
I won't do it. I don't date guys that complain a lot. I like guys that really like my first boyfriend. It's gonna sound bad because it was bad. I was 18 and he was 31.
Oh.
And I know that at the time. I did not know.
It's a Demi
I-
Lovato song.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
there.
And so I didn't know, but I had not, I was like, I kind of had like even if it was more of like an internal thing, I had like ugly duckling syndrome, like moving from like high school to like adulthood where I just didn't like feel good. And he was the first guy who really like, he was really lovely to me in the way that he was like, you're really beautiful and smart and all of those things. And it was just the first time that someone told me that. So it was
Yeah.
like a million times more, which was not good because he was just a not good person. And so my first boyfriend was literally like, yeah, I don't really like people and I've never really had a girlfriend and I'm like 30 and this and that. But I was like,
Ooh.
you sound like the love of my life. Like you don't like people, you don't really have friends. I was like, this sounds great.
Ideal situation. Got you all to myself.
I was like, this sounds like ideal. So, I mean, I really like when guys have like a really good group of friends and their friends speak highly of them. That's like the opposite of a
Oh,
red
yeah.
flag.
Yes.
That's
I
a
love
green
that.
flag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Red flags are when guys don't listen to any female artists, like any female musicians.
Wow, that's such a good one.
It's a really good one.
Really, like it bothers me so much. I would also say I can't date guys with anger issues. It's just weird.
Yeah. If they punch a hole in one wall, we're done.
Yeah. And it's unless we're at like one of those rage rooms, like I don't really want
Right. A mutually agreed upon space for breaking shit. Yeah.
guys that listen to a lot of EDM. It just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know.
I can see that.
I love that you came prepared with a list of
Yeah,
like,
I love this.
these are the things.
Strong,
Yeah.
strong list though. I like this.
It doesn't sit well with me. I don't like it. I also don't trust men who say they're 5'11" because 5'11" is not
You're
a real
not
height.
wrong at all.
If you say
Queen.
you're-
A
If you
queen.
say you're 5'11", you're 5'9".
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You're not
You say
right.
you're 6 feet tall.
Look.
Like 5'11" does not exist. I don't know someone who's 5'11".
No man, it's 5'11.
The poor men who are actually 5'11", like I feel so bad for them. They're like, I'm just being honest. Like they're like, but
one
it's like
guy.
at this point, just say you're 5'10". It feels
Honestly.
less suspicious.
Yeah.
Just say you're 5'10".
Well, like literally like 5'11", like if you're 5'11", you're 6 foot. Like it's that simple.
Yeah. You're gonna round up.
You are.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially
I mean,
a guy.
I round up and I'm 5'3.5".
5'4".
I tell people I'm 5'4". Yeah, exactly. I'm 5'4". Right. But yeah, no, I think that's so funny. I'm pretty sure my husband is 5'11".
I think you're actually right.
I think he is.
and that tracks because Tony feels like that tall.
But you know what? The difference is he doesn't, if anything, I have to try and convince him he's 5'11", because he'll be like, I might be a little shorter. Right? Like, which that's a very different energy than the guys who are like, I'm 5'11", but they're actually like 5'8".
Yeah.
It's a different vibe.
So I gotta know what the dating app scene. You said you were like Hinge. I got off of Hinge before these audio.
Oh, no,
things
no.
got to be popular. Is that just a fucking nightmare to navigate through? It has to be.
It's funny. It's really funny, more so than anything else. But I think that the most underrated use of dating apps is the following. This is the most fail-safe way, is match with people you kind of know or that you know through friends.
Okay.
That's what dating apps should be for, in my opinion. The amount of guys who I've kind of known as like a friend of a friend, or like we've met once at a party, and you see each other really soon after because your phone spies on you and just knows.
Oh yeah.
Really quickly. But it's the best way to like slide in if you're like, I can't tell if like they were flirting with me or not, because like if you send like a little message, at least it'll be friendly and like put it out there, and like 9 times out of 10 it works.
Nice.
And that's what I use dating apps for. But I haven't been on a dating app since February. I met a guy
yes.
kind of on Hinge, sort of not on Hinge. And
Is it the same? Is it the same tact that you just mentioned, which is kind of like,
sort
I
of.
know you've
Yes. So this is going to sound bad, but there's a lot more context here. He used to kind of see one of my friends very briefly, like a year ago.
Mhm.
Like,
Okay.
and they were not dating. They had hooked up a few times, and he didn't know who I was, but I knew who he was because
Right.
Your girlfriends have dished
Right.
absolutely
Adjacent.
everything. Yeah, everything about him. Mm-hmm.
my promise was like, I'm not going to talk about you on my sex podcast. And he was like, he messages me and he was like, oh, I'm pretty bummed that like you wouldn't do that. And I was like, well, joke's on you. Like, I already have because I've talked about a story that she told me. And he was like, no way. And he goes and listens to all of my episodes in one night on double speed and is like sending me the voice memos of him like listening to my podcast. And he's
Actually, weirdly endearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of cute.
so-
Yeah.
he was like, it's like a sexy physics lecture. And I was like, shut up. And so then he like listens to all of it and then he realizes because he like we both follow her still. So we realized like how I knew him. And it was just like this really funny moment where it was so crazy because I had just like known about him for like a pretty good amount of time and he didn't really know who I was. And now it's like something like really funny we joke about, and it's our relationship is much bigger than that now. But it was like a really fun little introduction to have of like, oh, like I know you know me sort of.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
Well, hey, you're having fun so far, right?
Yes,
There
very
you go.
much.
That's all that matters.
That's
so yeah,
awesome.
and as long as he's nice, he listens to your podcast, which is great.
He's so nice and he's so romantic. He's
Ooh.
the sweetest person on the planet. I like when guys are nice to me. That's something I really had to force myself into.
Yeah.
I get it. It's really disgusting. I think that's something. I'll put it this way. There was a while where, and at least this is how well, like the way that I psychoanalyzed it was, it's not that I disliked when men were nice. I think I just didn't want to see them enjoy anything.
Oh, dude,
I hate it when you're happy.
love entering that villain era. That's really nice.
No, I like it when they're nice to me because also when they're nice to you, they do stuff for you. And I'm tired. If there's one thing about me, I'm a tired bitch all the time. So I'm just like, if you're being nice, it means you're helping me, which I appreciate. I don't want somebody to be mean to me. Life is hard.
Yeah,
Nobody else needs to be mean to me. I'm mean enough to myself.
Amen.
You will never beat how mean I am.
No,
to myself.
truly.
But
Like,
listen, we told her that we grew up on Cosmo. Everybody knows how mean we are to ourselves.
Oh, honestly,
if you ever had to wear low-rise jeans, you know how
girl.
mean you know masochism firsthand.
Sydney,
Yeah.
you're a voice for your generation.
Yeah.
I expect you to keep the low-rise jeans out your mouth because we don't want them back. We don't want them back. We can't do it again.
No,
did it
I
once.
barely did it. I barely did it the first time, to be honest.
Oh
Like,
my
it's-
God.
You're you speak for all of Gen Z here.
No, I said
No low rise.
No,
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God. Thank you so much. Jesus. I feel what a weight lifted.
seriously.
Truly.
Well, it's been so great having this chat with you. I'm so glad that we got to connect. For all of our listeners out there, you really got to go to Wondery, check out Sydnee in the Sheets. We'll have all your social media handles and everything in the show notes.
Yeah.
And it's just been really, really great to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much
Yeah.
for
Is there anything that you'd like to promote?
You can just follow me and the show on Instagram and TikTok at Sydnee in the Sheets, or you can follow just me personally too, because I always post really funny sex jokes on my stories. at
Amazing.
Sydnee_page. And I'm a big fan of funny t-shirts. So if you like those, you can check it out there. But thank you guys so much for having me. I've loved getting to talk with all of you. This was so much fun. I'm really glad that we can coordinate.
Yeah.
Us too. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. And we love you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers.